Hello, everyone out there in Facebook land. Marcus Melnick here. I am with FirearmMentor.com. This is our evening to talk about whatever questions you might have. Now, unfortunately, Facebook restricted me posting a live video, probably because I talked about firearms. Kind of ridiculous. That's the problem with the Facebook. That's the problem with the Facebook platform. But the reality is, I'm gonna use my secondary account, do this, and repost this video. So we're not gonna have any questions tonight unless someone were to, jump on. I apologize. This was a great idea. I still think it's a great idea. Wonderful Facebook has acted again. So today is September 10th, and I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the fact that tomorrow is the 20th anniversary of 9/11. We all should know where we were, kind of like when the Challenger exploded or Pearl Harbor was bombed. Everyone asks, where were you? I'll share where I was. I was in the basement of the Glencoe Police Department, working, doing administrative work. I walked by the training room, and there was a class of paramedic continuing education going on. And I saw the TV. I thought, oh, wow, well, they're watching a video on mass casualty because it must be the World Trade Center bombing video from 1995. It wasn't until a little bit later that I actually realized they were watching live TV with the airplanes crashing into the Twin Towers. So for anyone who had perished that day, for all of the law enforcement, the firefighters, the subsequent military, I have a ton of respect for you. Thank you for risking your life. Thank you for supporting the country. So tomorrow, 9/11, hug your family a little bit tighter. Okay, back to the topic at hand. Firearms. Well, last night, 2 questions were asked of me, and I didn't know the answer. I explained last night the difference between an expert and a know-it-all is that an expert will tell you, I don't know. And I didn't know. So I did some research. The answer, I'll address the question and the answer. It's a little bit mixed. First of all, I was asked if Illinois has Castle Doctrine. Castle Doctrine is from England. It is a jurisprudence theory that says my home is my castle. I need not retreat in my home. Illinois has kind of Castle Doctrine, kind of not. So if someone is in your home that doesn't belong and you are not in danger, you cannot attack them. You cannot shoot them. You can ask them to leave. And it's a good thing too, because several years ago on Thanksgiving, or a couple days before Thanksgiving, I was asked to pick up a relative to bring her to Thanksgiving because she didn't drive at night. No problem. I'm all about serving others. So I said to her, I hadn't seen her in a year since the previous Thanksgiving, and they said, I know what street you're on. I forgot the address number. Can you tell me the address number? And she does, and she tells me the garage door will be open. Just walk right in. No problem. Grab me in, and we'll go. So I pull up on the street. The garage door is open. I walk into the garage, a little bit confused because there was area rugs on the floor. I thought that was a little bit odd. But I knocked on the door from the garage into the home. It was a townhouse. No answer. Knocked again harder. No answer. Knocked again harder. And I could hear things going on. I could hear a television. I could hear people talking. I couldn't make out what they were saying. So I opened the door. And right in front of me in the kitchen of this house was a woman from India wearing the Indian garb, a sari. And she threw her hands up because I scared the poop out of her. And quite honestly, she scared the poop out of me. I was in the wrong house because I was on the wrong block. So I'm human. Had we had Castle Doctrine in its fullest, she could have gotten away with shooting me. I'm very thankful that she didn't. I figured out I was on the wrong block. I picked up my relative. We went to Thanksgiving dinner, and we all had a good laugh about it. And now that's one of my anecdotal stories. So Illinois only has Castle Doctrine if someone attempts to make a riotous, tumultuous, or violent entry into your home. If they do, that's self-defense or defense and use of force in defense of a home. Pardon me, I lost my words for a moment. And if someone does, that shows intent that they are there to hurt you. The other question was, does Illinois have a duty to retreat? Which means if you are accosted on the street in your home, you have this duty to back off and retreat and not fight back. Illinois doesn't have that. You are not required to retreat before engaging a threat. So hopefully that answers the questions from last night. Tonight we're going to talk about a couple other things. First of all, I want to talk about the NRA. And a lot of people say, ooh, the NRA is bad. We shouldn't government fund it. NRA is not government funded. It is funded by its membership. I'm an NRA recruiter. Do I agree with 100% of what they do? No. Are they our best chance in preserving Second Amendment rights on the federal level in our country? Absolutely. They are the best shot. There are other organizations out there that certainly contribute to Second Amendment rights, but I highly recommend joining the NRA. If you are not a member, I recommend going to my website, www.firearmmentor.com. And there is a link to the NRA. If you do that via my website, you will get $10 off of your membership. So I would highly encourage you to join. A couple of the benefits are, sure, you get a magazine. You also get firearm theft insurance. And they're going to tell you marketing-wise, well, you get a watchful eye in the government. It's not really in the government, it's of the government. There's tons of training available. There's women's programs, youth programs, etc. And originally it was founded in 1871 to promote marksmanship. Today it's more of a lobbying organization, but I would encourage you to check it out and join through my website. Okay, so next we are going to talk about a couple things. First of all, we're going to talk about the rules for safe gun handling. A lot of times in my class, I'll tell people, oh, if they're gripping the gun a little bit differently or they're standing in a different stance and they're hitting the target, I'm not going to look in the book and say, well, you need to have your feet like this or have your hands like this. As long as you're doing it safely and you're effective, there's no way I'm not going to correct it. However, there are certain things in my classes that I tell people they are immutable. You cannot violate these rules. And I'm going to go over them with you right now. Rule number 1, you treat every firearm as if it is loaded. Anytime you pick up a gun, the assumption is it is loaded, has ammunition in it, could hurt or kill someone or something. So when I was working at a gun store, guy came off the range, didn't look too intelligent, he wasn't. And he came up to me, and I'm friendly, energetic, customer service kind of guy. And I said, can I help you? He said, yeah, I need a magazine for my gun. Well, that's great. No problem. Let me go check to see if we have it. What kind of gun do you have? He tells me it's a SIG, which is a brand of firearm. That's like telling me, I have a car I need a part for. What kind of car is it? It's blue. It doesn't really tell me. So I need to know the make and model. So I said, what's the model of it? That's a 9mm. That's not the model, that's the caliber. What's the model? And he said, I don't know. And I'm going to demonstrate this. Move the camera back. He took the gun out of his holster and went like this to read the side of the gun to tell me what model number it is. And I said to him, what the hell are you doing? And he said to me, don't worry, it's not loaded. Coworker snatches the gun out of his hand, checks it, and it was loaded. He was asked to leave the premises, and I don't mean that nicely. Rule number 2. There are only 3 safe directions when you are using a handgun. Those 3 safe directions are down. Not down pointed at your leg, down and away from your body. The second safe direction is what's called down range. So if that way is the range, that way is the target, and you need to put your gun down for any reason to reload, go to the bathroom, whatever, you always put the gun down facing the target. Never sideways, never backwards. Someone could come along with a bag, put it on top of your gun because they didn't see it. You come back from the bathroom and you say, hey dude, that's my space. And everyone's polite, and they say, I'm sorry, and they pick up their bag. But what you don't see is the strap or the coach tag that gets caught in the trigger. They pick up the gun, it's pointed at them, and bang, they get shot. If the gun is pointed down range and that happens, something gets caught in the trigger, it gets picked up and discharges, the worst thing that's going to happen if it's pointed in a safe direction is you might poop in your pants. That's the only time when pooping in your pants is the preferred outcome. Deadpan jokes again. All right, there is a third safe direction, and that third safe direction is at the dirtbag who's attacking you. It is counterintuitive to actually point a firearm at a human being. However, there may come that slim chance that you have to do it. Next, third rule is you keep your finger off of the trigger until you are ready to shoot. What that means is the gun is at eye level, you are extended, you have the proper grip, you're ready to shoot, only then does your finger drift onto the trigger. It's very, very intuitive to pick up a gun like this, but it's dangerous, okay? Last and final rule of handguns, you have to know what is beyond your target. So if you ever have a chance to shoot cans off of a fence, please go ahead and do it. It's awesome. It's a lot of fun. You get immediate feedback, but you have to know what's past the fence. If there's a little bit of a hill and the bullets are going into the ground, no problem. If you're shooting in the direction of a non-populated wooded area, great. But if you can see the houses past the fence, it's probably not a good idea. Meaning, don't do it. Same thing with before the target. If there's a bad guy and someone's pushing a stroller in between you and the bad guy, that's not the time to shoot. So those are the 4 immutable rules of safe gun handling. First one is treat every gun as if it's loaded. Now, if a loved one hands you a gun and tells you, here you go, it's not loaded, don't trust them. Check it for yourself. If the relative says, here's a gun, it's loaded, it's loaded. All right, very good. Moving on. Very, very important to store your guns and ammunition so they're not accessible to unauthorized people. Who are unauthorized people? Well, in reality, we're talking about children. Should not allow children to have access to your firearms at all, ever. That's written in stone. Ammunition should be stored in a cool, dry place. Moisture renders ammunition, or specifically gunpowder, the component to ammunition, it renders it inert. Will not fire. So you should do it in a cool, dry place, not a damp basement. So how do you keep your safe cool and dry? Well, you can go out, you can buy a desiccant where you put it in the microwave and then it absorbs all of the moisture in the safe. But what I do is I take those little silica packets you get in medicine and shoes and all that. Those are designed to absorb moisture as well. Old aspirin bottles and some current medications have a big cotton ball on top. That's also to absorb medication. So I take these little silica packets and I just throw them in my ammo containers. I just throw them in my safe, throw them in my ammo containers. I probably should clean it out soon. But that is the no-cost way of keeping your firearms and ammunition in a cool, dry place. Unless you're a reloader, you always keep ammunition in the original factory box or carton. All right. So, there's also something that's called public storage, where you have to store your firearm at a business. I don't recommend bringing your gun to an area where you are not in control of it. First of all, it's illegal, but what comes to mind is a hospital. You can't bring a gun into a hospital. In addition, we have a question. How often should you change your silica packets? I say once a year. I mean, as long as you keep throwing them in, it's fine. You might want to even get a plastic cup. Write 2021, throw them in there, and then when the cup is full, dump it out, get another cup, and do your magic marker like you get at all the parties with red Solo cup. I'll fill you up and mark it 2022. Okay, so public storage, a place where you might have to store your guns publicly. Health club, hospital, which you don't want to bring one into the hospital. You should never bring valuables with you if you are not in control of them. I'll give you an example. Not a firearms example. A friend of mine still goes to a health club, and he's remaining nameless, and so is the health club. And he went to go work out, comes back to his locker, and all of his cash is missing. Locker's locked. That's odd. So he calls his wife, said, "Did I leave my cash at home?" She says, "No, you didn't." And he's out the money. And it was not a little bit of money, it was a lot of money. So he gets smart. Now he leaves his money in the car, goes, works out, goes to the locker room, and all of a sudden he comes back to his locker. Locker's locked. Car keys are missing. Has to call his wife. She brings him the spare set of car keys. Goes in his car. His cash is missing. They had a suspect. And this suspect was a former locksmith who lost his license because of felony arrests, like armed robbery, burglary. He turned into a criminal, basically. I know people that know him, or knew him, I should say, and said he was a great father and a really good person. I don't know him. I'm relating this story to you third hand. So they never caught him. My friend was out his money. Fast forward a couple years later to the beginning of the pandemic, late March, early April 2020. You may have seen on a Ring camera in Arlington Heights in broad daylight, two guys kicking in the door of a home. One guy going up the stairs. The homeowner was at the top of the stairs. That was a riotous entry. The homeowner shot and killed the guy going up the stairs and pursued the other guy who ran away. I don't recommend pursuing. Call the police, get a description, let them do the pursuit. Don't put yourself in any danger. You are not SEAL Team Marcus. Okay, the guy who was shot, you never want anyone to lose a life. He was the same suspect at my friend's case in the health club. He was still living, committing crime. So you can think whatever you want to think about that. Don't bring valuables with you. All right, what about hotels? Can you bring a gun into a hotel room? The answer is yes. You can have a firearm in a hotel room. It's the same thing as your house, your apartment. You're renting a room for 1+ nights. The question is, does the hotel have a no concealed carry sticker on it? If it does, you cannot carry a loaded gun on your person in the common areas of the hotel. You would have to have it in your bag, unloaded, and transport it to your room instead of carry it to your room. Carrying means on your body and loaded, or unloaded, but on your body. Transportation means unloaded and in a case. What is a case? Well, very simply, a case is an opaque container. Plastic bag. Not a plastic bag, a paper bag. A clear plastic bag would not be a case. So as long as you have it in an opaque container, not to freak everyone else out, you can have a firearm in a hotel. All right, I'm looking off to the side for my notes. We talked about locking up your guns. You are liable if anything happens with your firearms. If someone who is an invited guest or household member in your house, like a child or teenager, gets a hold of your guns, you are liable until they turn 21. The only time you are not liable is if you have your firearm not locked up and someone breaks into your house illegally and steals it. You're not liable for them stealing your gun, and you have no responsibility there. But you do have to lock it up. What happens if you don't lock it up? What happens if your teenager gets it? It's a Class C misdemeanor and a $1,000 fine, plus whatever damages. You could be sued if someone got shot. You could be sued if property was damaged. So the message here is lock up your guns. A lot of us in the firearms community have taught our children how to shoot. Hell, I learned how to shoot when I was 7, but I never had access to the firearms, other than my dad taking it out of his case at the range and giving it to me, and then I could actually go ahead and shoot. All right, so it's 7:19. We have 11 minutes. I'm going to spend that time talking about being street smart. And the analogy that I'm going to draw is driver's ed. I teach people how to use firearms just like a driver's ed class teaches people how to drive. You have drive time with the instructor, you have shooting time with me, and then you have drive time with parents or other family members, and that's you going to the range on your own. In driver's ed, they teach you to drive defensively. And one example of that is look at the car ahead of the car in front of you, and when you see brake lights, move your foot over from the gas pedal to covering the brake so that if you need to stop in a hurry, you can stop in a hurry. That's driving defensively. Being polite, waving, those are all good things. So when you carry a firearm, to carry it defensively, there are 4 color codes of mental awareness. And when I go through these, your safest bet is to be yellow. Condition white is being unaware of any danger. You're oblivious to your surroundings. Believe it or not, we're all in condition white every day. When we go to sleep, when we take a shower, when we sit on the couch with the remote control and change the channels in our own comfortable area, we are in condition white. Condition yellow is very much like driving defensively. You are relaxed, but you're aware of everyone and everything within view. You're not in any danger. You're alert to all your activities. What does that mean? Well, that means be smart. If you see some nefarious characters, avoid them. If you're going to your car and you have your purse, don't look down into your purse, rummage around for the keys. That's when you will be attacked. Your best bet is to have your keys in your hand before you get to the car. Do it tactily, do it by feel, or do it before you leave the store or hotel or whatever, wherever you are, the house. Don't look down. You always want to maintain eye contact. Bad guys do not like eye contact. All right, condition orange is elevated. There's a potential threat there. You could be in the house, you could hear glass break. Oh my goodness, glass broke, I gotta go check it out. It's an unspecified alert. Then there's condition red, which is an armed encounter. You're facing one or more people who have that ability to take your life or significantly injure you. So I'm going to tell you how this works with a real example. I was driving on the highway a couple years ago, and I was about 2-3 exits away from where I needed to get off. There was a semi to my left. I was on cruise control in the right-hand lane. There was no other traffic. No one ahead of me, no one behind me. And this guy decided to merge. Well, my inner voice, I didn't say this out loud, I didn't give the finger, I didn't do anything, was he wanted to merge in exactly the same spot I was in. So my inner voice said, no, a-hole, you have to merge. So he got in behind me. Well, now he's riding me really, really close. And I'm on cruise control. I end up passing the truck. And he's still on me. He can go around me, but he's still on me. So what I did was I barely touched that brake pedal just to activate my brake lights, not to brake check them, not to stop suddenly. I didn't want to get in an accident. Well, that infuriated this guy. So I was yellow. He pulls around me. I'm starting to get a little agitated, and he flies past me. Whew, great. That was good. I avoided the conflict. But wait, there's more. So he decides to straddle the 2-lane highway, middle of the 2 lanes, and he slows down to 10 miles an hour. And I say, holy crap. I actually used other words. This is not good. So I had my gun in my hand. He didn't see it. Then he sped up. Then he slowed down. Then he sped up. And remember when I started the story, I told you I was only a couple exits away from where I was going to get off? Well, that exit was coming up really quick. He got behind me. He got in front of me. Now he's in front of me. I'm at the exit. I get smart. Or maybe I was smart before. And I didn't peel off, but I just exited the highway. No signal. I didn't slow down ahead of time. I didn't telegraph my moves. End of the story, right? Wrong. Wait, there's more. On the highway, this guy slammed on his brakes, backed up to the off-ramp, and now he's following me in local traffic in a town I am not familiar with. And I am freaking out inside. I am at condition orange for sure. I get the adrenaline dump. It's in my bloodstream. My heart rate is increasing. My respiration is increasing, my blood pressure is going up, on and on and on. And Ron tells me to use a dash cam, and I may actually do that. Although most of the action occurred behind me, not in front of me. So, in any event, I call the police. I get the plate number. I call the police. I cannot identify the guy. He's got tinted windows, but I got the car description. I got the plate. I got the dispatcher online. And the dispatcher tells me, oh, okay, I'm calling off street names. Kilpatrick, Maine, Keeler. And I said, this guy's following me. And of course they say, well, what did you do to make him angry? Well, I identified myself as law enforcement on the phone call, former law enforcement. I said, I'm former law enforcement, I'm a firearms instructor, I'm armed, and I'm trying to avoid a confrontation. So they tell me, oh, you're coming up to a Walgreens, turn into the lot. So I ask, are the police there? The dispatcher says, no, not yet, they're about 2 minutes away. So I said, I'm not stopping, I'm trying to avoid the threat, not engage it. Coming up, still calling off street names. I really don't know where I am. And I get the comment from the dispatcher, you're coming up to a Culver's, turn into the parking lot. Awesome. Are the police there yet? No, not yet. I said, look, I'm not stopping. Why don't you direct me to the police department? And they did. And I pulled into the police department lot, and I saw this guy. He circled the lot. I saw him twice circle the lot. I think he realized where I was and took off. I think. I don't know. I never had any contact with him. I gave the police officer, who was totally cool, I gave him a description of the incident, of the vehicle, and super cool. He actually gave me an escort, followed me to my destination. I got there. There was no incident. But I was not in condition white. I was driving defensively, carrying a firearm defensively, and I was in condition yellow. That's what you should be in. I raised to condition orange, and I truly attempted to avoid and successfully avoid condition red. Escape is always preferable to fighting. Now, I'm a big tough guy. I'm not that old. I can handle myself. Yes, but there's a ton of aftermath that goes along with it, and you don't want to have that. That's worse than the incident. Okay, we are coming up to 7:30. I will address cleaning your guns. I'm not going to teach you how to clean a gun on this brief video, but I will address cleaning guns. You should clean your firearms every time you shoot them, every time you take them to the range. Why? Will they work? Oh, people say, well, it'll build up dirt, dust, grime, unburnt gunpowder, stippling, pitch, all this stuff that can gum up your gun. And that's true. I also have a close friend who had a Glock for 25 years and finally cleaned it after shooting it for 25 years. The gun went bang every time. Now I know the Glock fanboys are going to be like, yeah, it's a Glock. You still need to clean a Glock. So here's the real reason why you should clean your firearm each time you use it. Let's say you're involved in an incident, someone's in your house, kicks in your door, you grab your gun, you say, get out of here, I have a gun, and the bad guy leaves. What's the next thing that you do? Well, you call the police. Police come, what happened, sir? You tell them, I heard breaking glass, guy came in my front door, I got my gun, I gave him a warning, and he took off. Police officer's going to ask you a couple questions. So you got your gun out? Yes. Let me see your FOID card. You show him your FOID card. Then he's going to ask you, did you shoot the gun? Did you shoot at him? And you're going to be honest, because you're an honest, law-abiding citizen. And you're going to say, no, I gave him a verbal warning. Police officer is going to say, let me see the gun that you didn't clean. They're going to go like this, and their finger is going to be black with all the crap that gets built up on your gun. What just happened there? Well, in the police officer's eyes, you lied to the cops, which means you are going to be further investigated, even though you were the complainant victim. Always clean your guns as soon as possible after you shoot them. Now, I don't always do that. Do as I say, not as I do, right? Wrong. The guns I use for self-defense, I absolutely clean immediately after I'm done with them. However, the guns that I use for classes, I don't always clean immediately. Oftentimes, there will be someone who will say, hey, I need to learn how to clean a gun. I don't want to show up with a clean gun. and show them how to clean a clean gun. I want to show up with a dirty gun so that they can see the before and the after. Now, if some time goes by and I don't get any requests for that, I do clean the guns I use for my classes, I should say. I try to clean them in the spring and the fall because my garage is not heated, and I don't think my wife would appreciate me cleaning guns and stinking up the house at the kitchen table. All right, so that comes to the conclusion of our 30 minutes. My name is Marcus Melnick. I am at firearmmentor.com. My email address is tacticaldaddy@gmail.com. I will be posting this video for all to enjoy on my normal Facebook page because Facebook wouldn't let me go live. Thank you very much for joining. I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Take care and be safe.